We put multi-step on the buff stone. We place the top on, and again, we have metal to metal contact. The next thing we do, we take our vacuum mix stone. I'm going to put in a little bit right in the middle. I'm going to hold the two halves together. I'm going to shake it just a little bit. I'm going to spread it out. I want to make sure that we get everything in between the teeth too in the sulcus. Kind of spread it around. We want to make sure we get all the papillas between the teeth filled. Take a little bit of paper. We're going to cut it just about to the shape of the flask. We're going to put that in. What we want to do is press it down to where we feel the teeth. We can go ahead and top it. And the reason why we're doing this is because we want to protect the teeth. We want to make sure that when we break the mold open, that we don't break any of the teeth off. And sometimes you might use a chisel, whatever apparatus you use. We wipe it away from here. Make sure that again we're going to get metal to metal contact. We're going to take the flask top, press it down slowly, give it a few little turns like this, and I always give it 3 taps for good luck. That's why we left the plaster on, or the stone on. Sometimes as it shrinks, you'll see a little hole here. So you leave the stone squished up through there as kind of like a reservoir. As it shrinks, it'll draw fresh plaster in, so we have no suck back porosity through here. We have stone to stone contact all the way, brass to brass, metal to metal contact all the way around. So we're ready for boil out stage. So here we have the flask in the Nevin boil out unit. We're going to boil it out for about 6 minutes. And then split the flask apart, put 1/2 the top, 1/2 in the bottom, and flush out the two. We'll take them out, let them dry, cool down a little bit, and then we're going to place some separating material on there. So let's do it. Now the steam spray is much better than putting it in boiling water. That's because the boiling water actually gets sucked into the plaster or the stone, whatever you've invested with, and that can actually distort the whole thing. So you're much better using a steamer like this. We'll give it 6 minutes, and then we'll check it out. So now we split the flasks. We put 1/2 on one side, 1/2 on the other, and we're going to steam them clean for another 6 minutes. Okay, at this point, we're ready to put the separator on the flask. So I want to point a couple of things out first. Number one, notice that there are no bubbles around the collars, which is what we're looking for. Which, if there are bubbles around the collars, then that means you're going to have bubbles in your acrylic, and then you have to start picking bubbles out. You could damage a tooth. So that's why we vacuum mix everything before we invest. We have a nice, smooth, creamy consistency going in and coming out. The mold, there are no bubbles in it. They hold the teeth in place. Also notice that we have metal all the way around. There's no flash. We have metal to metal contact. That means that we won't have an open bite. So that's very, very important. Even though we mill in all our cases, we want to make sure that we have metal to metal contact. The application of the separator is very, very simple. We want to do it when the flask is warm so the separator dries, but we don't want the flask too hot, because if the plaster is too hot, what happens is the steam comes out of the plaster, and it will actually detach the separator from the cast, so you'll end up with voids. Some of the separator can possibly end up in the acrylic, which will leave little craze lines, so we want to avoid that. We want it warm so it dries, but we don't want it hot. I'm applying the separator, and I usually put on a pretty good amount. I want to make sure that we get in between all the teeth, so I use a brush, and this brush is actually a Ceramicus brush from Renford. It's a very good brush. It's a synthetic brush. It holds moisture quite well. As long as you take care of them, they last quite a long time. They're not really used for separator, as long as you take care of them, but I do. And then I tilt the flask up like this and let it drain. I'll move on to my upper model. The same thing. We'll paint the separator liberally over the whole model. Again, notice that we have a land area which is right here, exposed all the way around, so we see the whole model. And I'll take this model, put it right there, and we will let that drain. The model is dry, so the separator will dry fairly quickly, but not too quick. We don't want it to detach, like we said before. So once it dries, the next step is to take a cotton swab with a little bit of monomer, not too much, and we clean the teeth, and then we place our Diatorics, and we're ready to mix the acrylic. So we'll give it a few more minutes, and we'll be back. So we want to clean the teeth with a little bit of monomer, and I actually prefer a brush better than a Q-tip, although sometimes you have to use what you have. The Q-tips have fibers in them, and sometimes they get stuck between the teeth, and they'll show up in the acrylic, so you have to be very, very careful. But I prefer to use a stiff, small brush. Next thing we're going to do are place Diatorics in the teeth. Some people believe in Diatorics, some people don't. The only thing I can tell you about that is when I put Diatorics in, I feel pretty confident the teeth will not come out. I have never had a tooth pop out when I have a Diatoric in. Probably over the past 6 years, I haven't had a tooth pop out. So whether you believe it or not, I do. So I hold the tooth in, and we don't need big Diatorics, just small ones. And we don't want to go through the tooth completely. I'll usually put 4 or 5 small Diatorics. We ground all the Diatorics in, and inevitably there is going to be some of the residue from the tooth, from the holes, get in between the teeth. So I just blew it out. You know, what we don't want is them to incorporate into the pink acrylic and see little tiny white dots. So all you do is just blow it out. Case ready to be packed. We've got Diatorics in. We have no bubbles between the teeth. I've used stone to invest the whole case. The reason is that stone is harder. It's a lot less likely to distort, especially when you mix it with plaster. Although you do have to be a little careful when you're breaking the case out, and the reason is we don't want to break anything. So we'll go over to the packing bench. We'll pack it. I usually trial pack twice and then give it a final pack, and we get a nice dense mold that way. And I always overnight cure. So we'll overnight cure this, and then we'll see you tomorrow.